But here we are. We are live. I'm back in Circle Leadership Headquarters Studios, and Lisa's back on the other coast. Last time you were here, and I was in New Zealand or something, and now here we are.
Where were you last week? Oh, you were in Geraldton last week.
I was in Geraldton. Sorry, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just going to preface
this. New Zealand this week. You were in Perth. Now you're in Queensland.
And then you'll also be in Queensland.
Yes, and I'll be in Queensland on Wednesday.
Can I just preface before we get started? Here's the thing, everybody. Dave is now in charge of the button clicking. So I don't know how this is going to go. Usually I'm the best button presser. I know it's a surprise, right? So it's going to be a fun time for everybody. So apologies in advance if it's required. You're welcome.
Yeah. I'm so used to pressing everyone else's buttons, not my own. Right.
So, I love that I'm super sassy when I'm on, like I'm 5,000 kilometers away. I'm like, I'll throw shade at you when I'm not like within punching distance.
Not that we condone violence here at Circle Leadership.
No, not at all. We're lovers.
So, as typical, hey Joe, good morning. So I was just going to mention Joe. I was going to mention Joe. I got this beautiful message from Joe Harper this morning at 6 a.m. saying, "Are you guys still going 6:04? Are you still going live?" Because for some reason all our other platforms had us live at 8, but I don't know when I set the StreamYard up. I don't know what part of the planet I was on at that stage. For some reason, LinkedIn had it 2 hours, so I don't know if it was thinking that it was 8 a.m. Eastern Coast time, which is 6 a.m. here in WA. So I apologize for anybody who was prepared at 6 a.m. to join us. Good for you. Thank you very much. I hope you made use of the last 2 hours. And Joe, good morning. Thank you for still jumping back on with us. All right. So good morning. Good morning. Are you controlling the buttons?
No.
I think somebody remotely was just controlling me. All right, you're going to confuse me, which is not too difficult these days. But speaking of confusing people, let's talk about mindset. So this is a follow-on from like last week. We talked about self-image and how I see myself, and we talked about taking the process for human behavior, and we looked at it horizontally in terms of how we can improve our self-image. Are you going to control the buttons, or am I?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
You just do your best work.
Okay. Sarika, thank you so much. Namaste. Thanks for joining us from India. So much. Thank you. So we talked about that self-image and, how we see ourselves and, stretching and pushing the boundaries of our comfort zone. And then this week, what we want to do is add on to that. We want to further that conversation and that dialogue. And what we want to do is talk more about just fundamentally how our mind works. Now, please understand, I am not a trained psychologist. I am not any of that. I'm not telling you that this is, this is just fundamentals of psychology that I've learned through my years of doing a lot of this work in human behavioral space. Okay. So I've just tried to work out how can I demonstrate it to you in a way that will make sense following on from the other conversations that we have. I just want to preface that. Please understand, I'm not a trained psychologist. So any psychologists, I have worked with psychologists and they've said the theories are sound, but I'm not here to tell you that that's what I am. So let's make sure we're very clear on that. But I just want to just demonstrate some functionality of the mind and how things happen so that we can use that for us instead of against us, because a lot of times things will happen by default and circumstance in our mind. And I want to show or share with you today how you can use those same things, but use them by design. Okay. So the theme of this thing was, and our newsletter this week was, the problem with the mindset is that it's a mindset. So the first thing I want to talk about is that as a concept. Now, Peter Diamandis, he had a big post up there and he said, if I just keep telling people about, have the right mindset, have the right mindset, have the right mindset, I would just keep doing that over and over and over, which is awesome. And what is every situation in life is about having the right mindset. It's not whether things are things happening to you or happening for you, depending on your mindset of what you can control and what you can influence. And the things I can't control, what's my mindset to those things is basically how do I choose to interpret those things and deal with those things. So having the right mindset is always a very, very important thing. And which is great. But the challenge with the mindset, there's this concept that's called locking on and locking out, right? So when your mind is set on something, your mind is set that this is the way it is. These are my beliefs. This is it. I've got the right mindset. I'm going to go after this, which is really cool. And it's very, very powerful. So you can use your mind in a way where it's actually focused and it's locked onto the thing that you want to achieve. And while you do that, it will lock out virtually everything else. Okay. Hey, James. James is back in the hometown of Toronto. Toronto only has one T, James, although you can spell it with two, it's fine.
So I have a question about that,
Yep.
Dave. The locking on and locking out, is that,
Yep.
and maybe I'm jumping ahead of things here,
That's right.
is that like the reticular activating system?
No, so there's the cool
Right.
part. Well, that will kick in with this. So when you've locked on
Yeah.
to something,
Mhm.
and let's say, for example, like my flight to New Zealand. There I am. I'm on the plane. Like, this is a true story, but like this is how it all happened. So I'm on the plane, take off from Perth to Melbourne, Melbourne to New Zealand. So I'm flying with Qantas to Melbourne, and then Air New Zealand to New Zealand. It's the only flights I could get.
Shameless plug there for Qantas and Air New Zealand. You're welcome, because
Yeah.
we're kind of famous, and now all these
Yeah.
people are going to fly with you.
Hey, James. And so I'll. So anyway, so I'm on that plane, right? And half an hour into the flight, there I am, thankfully, because Qantas has Qantas Wi-Fi on the plane and all that. I get this message from Air New Zealand saying your flight to New Zealand this evening has been postponed 24 hours. Now, I needed to get into Auckland that night to drive to Hamilton, New Zealand, so I could be there 8:30 Monday morning. And they're telling me that the plane wasn't going to take off until Monday night. And so my mind was determined. All right. So the way your brain works in this situation is all of a sudden it's going. The dominant picture was I must be in. I must land in Auckland, so I get to Hamilton. I must be in Hamilton. I don't care if I flew in at 7:30 in the morning into Hamilton, or I flew in at whatever time I would land. I needed to be there at 8:30 in the morning, ready to go. For the people, because Monday was the only day that we could get 13 leaders from a city organization of 1,300 people together on the same time at the same place.
You've done a great job with that, by the way.
Yeah.
As someone who used to, in a previous life, play in the realms of LG, to get 13 of those people in the same place at the same time, they must have heard you were coming, Dave.
Yeah. They did that. That's good on them. They did that, but I didn't want to let them down. So all of a sudden, I'm thinking, okay, my brain goes, okay, Dave, how can you do this? So I messaged my wife, Tova, said, can you start researching flights for me? Can you I don't care if I have to fly from Melbourne to Sydney to Brisbane to whatever, but I got to get in Auckland tonight. I mean, I don't care if it's like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, doesn't bother me, but I've got to be there. So all of a sudden, I'm looking for opportunities and threats. Okay, if I missed that, what could I do? How could this? I instantly sent an email. Like, I didn't even have to think about what to do. Like, I didn't have to think, okay, now, oh crap, what am I doing? My brain instantly just kicked in and said, do these things, right? Because the dominant picture in my mind was that I must be in Hamilton 8:30 Monday morning.
Love
and
that.
Literally, if I reflect on it, I didn't even have to go, okay, oh crap, what am I going to do now? I'll instantly open up the tablet thing there, start sending messages to Tova, I sent an email to the people there, said, here's what's happening, here's what I'm doing about it. I didn't.
So what you're saying, Dave, is that the key to this is an excellent wife.
Yes, 100%.
Right. Okay. There we go, everybody. That's your learnings for
today. And that'll be a waste of comment because she's not watching. So,
but anyone out there, excellent wife.
Now, can we just rephrase that, please? The key to this is having an excellent partner who has your back all the time. Could be a husband too. So when you lock onto this, you lock everything out. So the reticular activating system also. So please understand, very simple. Your RAS, it's there. It's like your antennas, and it alerts you to anything of opportunity and anything of threat. And the simplest that anyone who understands RAS will use the same example. When you buy a new car, it's when I bought my black Nissan that I got, all of a sudden I started seeing 370Zs everywhere. I'm like, oh, everybody has one. I didn't think there was hardly any here in WA. Then all of a sudden they're all over the place, because all of a sudden it wants to make me feel good about my buying decision, and I start to see things that were already there. Okay, but when you've locked on, so when you lock onto something, which is really cool, your mind is very clear on what it wants to do, what must be accomplished, or whatever the goal is. Then your reticular activating system can jump in and go, here's opportunity, here's threat, here's opportunity, here's threat. Okay. So really cool. So what's wrong with mindset then? Okay. The challenge with a mindset is that it's a mindset. So once it's set on something, you tend to lock out everything else. So other possibilities, other options, other things like that. So it can work for you, but it can also limit you. So this is why when we're working with people and we're helping them set up their mission of their organization in terms of who they need to become, when we go, what must be accomplished? Like this is what must be accomplished becomes mandatory, because I know how your mind works. And once we're very clear on what there, it will start showing you everything that you need to do that. And then when we reverse engineer that and go, well, what must be accomplished in the next 12 months? What must be accomplished in the next 90 days? The reason why we do that is because we know how your brain works. Right? It's the more the psychology of it all. So when we go, okay, let's just make sure all those cool things our brains can do are set on the right things. Right? Because then that's the thing that gives us traction. So this is stuff that gives us traction, and everything outside of that is a distraction. So this is how we start to avoid all the shining up. So we can use that mindset for that. But the kicker is, and you shared this with me earlier, and so if you want to share what you were sharing about muscle and all that, this would be a really cool time just to share that.
I love it. That was the most smoothest, non-clunky segue I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Well, I want you to share that because I want to feed off the back of it.
Yeah, so I've really been, I love that we do our themes of the week, and it gives us a chance, because at Circle Leadership, we're products of our product, right? So we fully immerse ourselves as we're helping offer and teach you through the lens of the realizations and evolution that we're taking this space, so we get to understand it on a deeper level. So this strong with mindset, I've been like, oh, what if mindset can keep us blocked? And this is what I really love about what we do, and also about what we did last week, where we talked about comfort zone, how all magic happens out of your comfort zone. Yeah, but what about the flip side to that? Because we need to look at everything through both lenses. We live in a world of duality. All magic happens outside of your comfort zone, but what happens if you go too far out of your comfort zone? Same with this. Mindset's amazing. It's set. It's like concrete. It's a solid foundation in which you can launch off. Amazing. But then when does that also do you a disservice by getting you locked into something based on what you believed previously that doesn't necessarily serve you today? And so these are the types of things that we get to immerse ourselves in. And this morning I was like, okay, so if that can be true, if the mindset, if the concrete piece of that can also both be great and not so great, then how else might we be able to look at this? And having been in the fitness profession for 15 years, I was like, oh, what if we could flip or look at mindset through the lens of mind flex? So instead of mindset, mind flex, on two parts of that spectrum. Flex being number one, flex nice and strong, so we strengthen our mind. But also we want to keep it supple. We want to keep it flexible to kind of speak to that neuroplasticity piece as well. So our ability to continue to grow and evolve, so that if we do need to change our beliefs, if we do need to shift our mindset or our mind flex to a new way of looking at things to serve us as we move further into more of what we want to experience, then when does mind flex, where we're strong and we're supple in our mind, supersede the notion of being set in our ways? We all know, like, be careful. I'm here at the farm today. It's like my dad, love him. Love you so much, Dad. He's set in his ways. And do I see how that limits him? Yeah. But what if we could flex in our way, or flex our way too? Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was just my little thing.
Yeah, no, it's just really cool. And this is the point. So like if using your dad, God bless him, he's a wonderful man. Had the pleasure to wave at him a few times behind the scenes.
That's right. We'll play golf together soon, and then you'll find the whole.
But it's the same, and if whether it's generational or not. But there's people who are younger and things like that, and even I can see it sometimes in my children where their mind is this mindset about their belief on something, right? What I guess over time or wisdom and experience has taught me is that your beliefs are great, and I think you talked about this a bit in your article as well. But those mindset. So as we establish these beliefs in our life, and we go, okay, Joe said, copyright your mind flex.
Thanks, Joe.
Trademark that. Put that shit on a T-shirt. Right? Yeah. That is a Fergasm at its finest. Well done. Right. So
I love me a good Fergasm.
So if you think about these beliefs that we're building up that are forming this mindset that we have about things, do we ever stop? Do we ever stop and ask ourselves, hang on, just because I believed it to be true then, do I need to still believe it to be true today and into tomorrow? Because are those beliefs that I held true in the past, are they serving me today, and will they serve me into tomorrow? In a world that's ever evolving and ever changing, it's something that we really need to be mindful of. Like, are we And this is why we work on evolving to stay relevant, the steady progress increase of our capabilities and our capacity for greatness. So that means we need to constantly be evolving our thinking and how we see the world and how we look at the world. But if you keep looking at the world the same way all the time through that one fixed mindset, you may miss out on a whole bunch of other opportunities.
And where does that leave you? Exposed and therefore not relevant?
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is the way business is, Dave. You don't understand. This is the way our industry is, Lisa. Da, 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 da. Okay, great. You think the taxis had a fixed mindset?
A little bit.
Yeah, and they wouldn't. Therefore, they don't see the opportunity that could have been laying right in front of them. Okay, so this is the problem with having a mindset. It can work for you, where you lock on. It's really great. You're laser focused, but at the same time, you lock everything else out, which is also good because you're not distracted. But just be very mindful that as you're working through it, be mindful. Mindfulness is probably an interesting thing too. We'll get Alexis from Human Leaders on to talk more about mindfulness. But just be careful. Ask yourself the question: is what I believe to be true today serving me today, and will it serve me tomorrow? And if not, do I need to mind flex around those things? Okay. Ooh. So the next thing I want to talk about, because we always can go in for hours on these things. It's just such great content or topics to be able to discuss. But we have stuff we have to cover. Things we promised people that we would do. So let's go to the whiteboard. The one thing I want to talk to everyone about is then this is, so we talked about, the problem with the mindset, locking on, locking out, the good and bad of it, and your beliefs. Now I want to show you how your brain actually works. Okay, this is something that I learned way back in 1996 from Investment and Excellence Program, which was a personal development, one of the best personal development programs I ever went on in my life, with the Pacific Institute. So this is what they taught us. Okay, so I'm just going to share it with you because it has been very powerful for me in looking at how I've evolved as a human over the years myself. So we have our conscious mind. So if you look at this in the lens of a computer, right? So conscious mind is your RAM, all the programs we have up and running and everything like that. Your subconscious mind is like the hard drive, where everything is stored. Okay, so and then we have what we call the creative subconscious mind. Now, subconscious mind, as we talked about the other week, this is where your self-image is stored, the picture of yourself, how you see yourself in the world, that's stored in there. All your values, beliefs, and everything like that. Everything are all stored in your subconscious mind. So here's what happened. If you see something outside your conscious mind, right, and you go, oh, I can see that, your subconscious will go, does that match the picture that I hold in my subconscious? Okay, people who... and please understand, fundamentally, who are deemed insane, they can't get their internal and external pictures to match. When people go crazy, it's because they can't seem to get the world that they see outside to match the one that they see inside. Okay, so the creative subconscious part here, what it does is when it sees this picture out here and this picture in here, it gives you the energy to make your pictures match. Okay. Now, the mind does not know the difference between what's real or perceived. So, when you're dreaming, you ever woke up from a dream where it was just so real you didn't know where you were for a second? Right? Because your mind does not know the difference between what's real or perceived. Okay, so it's really important to understand that. So we see in these pictures, we all dream in pictures. No one dreams in text. Someone said, oh, I dream in text. I said, you're probably dreaming of a book that you're reading. And you see the text there. He goes, yeah, well, I see the text. So you still dream in pictures. Okay, so we all dream in pictures. Our mind has pictures. It's a visual part of our being, right? So all of a sudden we see this picture outside, it doesn't match the one inside. But your mind's function is to keep you sane. So it will always move you to the dominant picture. So if the one that we hold true to be here is the dominant picture, this creative subconscious will kick in and give you all the energy and things that you need to do to make sure that it matches this picture. So if you see yourself outside in an opportunity, remember we were stretching our comfort zones and the boundaries of our comfort zones the other day. So if I see myself, oh my God, I really want to have that next promotion or be in that job. And then I get into that job and, just because I wanted it, I didn't necessarily see myself in that job, doing that job. Like, oh, there's the opportunity, there's my promotion, I'll take that. And then I'm in there, all of a sudden, you ever seen people who subconsciously sabotage themselves? I think we talked about that last week. Or in a relationship they don't think they deserve, or when they win the lottery and they don't. So that's just your creative subconscious kicking in and going, these pictures don't match. Do stupid things to go back to this picture. Right? say something stupid that will get you fired or get you demoted or whatever, or piss somebody off and go, well, there you go. See, I knew it.
Do dumb stuff.
Why you're doing it. Okay. So this is what can happen. But as we talked about last week, when we were talking about your, stretching the boundaries of your comfort zone. Sorry. So we were looking at the picture of yourself and pushing the boundaries all the time and stretching it out. That's why this is important. So if we can reprogram this subconscious mind here, okay, we can reprogram this. It's like if I open up a Word doc on the computer right now and I type something in it, that saves onto the Word doc and it saves into my files, right? Then I can go open up that file and I can amend it and resave it, 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 and then eventually I can publish it. The same way your brain works. So if we actually take the picture that how do we make this the dominant picture then? So that this thing here will work in our favor. Well, we need to constantly be affirming and visualizing and seeing ourselves having or being this thing. So this goes, hey, this picture in here doesn't match this picture anymore. I need to start giving you all the things so you'll step out with action to do this thing, to bring that thing into become the picture that we want to see. Because your mind will always move you to the dominant picture. So we can use the same process that imprinted this as the dominant picture inside our mind by creating a new picture and using that process we shared last week to go, hey, if I'm, it's like me to be like this with repetition, then step out. It's like me to do that. This is that whole cycle again, just showing you how your brain's going to work, because this little bugger right here will give you the energy to go either way. But by default and circumstance, we've allowed ourselves to program this to be, this is how we think around here or how I see things. Instead of saying, well, I want my world to look like this up here, then use that process to reprogram this, to upload and save, upload and save, upload and save, or amend and save, amend and save, amend and save. And then every time you step out, it'll go, hey, you should be doing this. Why aren't you doing that? So this is all that happened the other day when I saw myself actually being in, and me, I visualize all our sessions with our clients in advance, what it's going to look like, how I'm going to respond to questions, how I'm going to hold myself in my space, because we have a lot of tough work to do with clients from time to time, and it's going to be challenging. And knowing what my role is and seeing myself holding that space for them, because we need to give them the space and capacity for them to step into who they're capable of becoming. And then when all of a sudden that picture was challenged because, oh crap, I'm not going to be there, I didn't have to think. This part of my brain here, oops, I think the whiteboard's just kicked out. The creative subconscious part of my brain said, Dave, do this, Dave, do that, do this, you need to do this, you need to do that. I didn't have to think about it. It just kicked in and did what it does. And it worked for me. Okay, because I saw myself being there in front of those people. I visualized that every time. Every session before, like I just imagine what it's going to be like me standing in that room with like 13 high-level executives, this sort of stuff, and how am I going to hold these 13 very senior people to a space and challenge their thinking and wordsmith them and stick them with needles and all the things that we do. And I see myself doing that. And then when that was taken away from me for a second, it's like, oh crap, boom, instantly the creative subconscious kicks in and it works for me.
Can I just speak to that point as well, Dave? Because I love how you said that your creative worked for you. Yeah. But then can we extrapolate that even further and say this whole situation with the flight stress and all of that kind of stuff, that wasn't something that happened to you either. That was something that happened for you as well, because now you have an awesome opportunity to practice locking on, locking out, and then witnessing this whole process taking place so that you get to share it from personal experience and recent personal experience. So the question that I always love to ask people is it possible that this isn't happening to you, it's happening for you? Like when things happen and it feels like they're happening to you, could there be something, could you just be getting an opportunity to practice and flex that mind muscle? So that when you've got to shift and when you've got to lock and load on something that's really, really important, you've got that conditioning. Because Dave, can you just go back to the whiteboard for a sec, just really quickly? Because what I'm noticing on here, and it's the same, like we talk about MindFlex and we talk about belief systems. I don't know about you, Dave, but I'm seeing a whole lot of lines and stuff and things here. And it's just like when we go onto the Word document, we don't just type one word, save, and it's finished, and now our book's written. There's something about that spaced repetition piece. You don't just tell yourself the new belief or the new way of being once, and then that's it. You've got to keep reaffirming. It's like you don't just go to the gym once and get gains and keep them forever. We all know that if you want to get results in your body, there's consistency and is a key and for the effort to get there. But once you've got there, it's the whole notion of if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And so when people would come to me and say, awesome, Lise, thanks for being my great personal trainer. I've lost 20 kilos now. I don't need you anymore. I'm like, wow, this is scary. This is the maintenance piece. This is where it's most important to keep going. Once you've got that mindset, once you've got that mind flex, once you've got that result that is serving you, that you want to continue to experience more of in your life, that is where you get to continue to keep showing up. Keep showing up. Because if you just do it once, and then every second, third, fourth week, then it's that spaced repetition piece is really, really key. And I just wanted to speak to that.
No, that's really cool. And it is, because that's why I feel like those things, just like, this isn't a one-time thing. And this is why most of us then don't bother using our mind force. This is why most of us have built our mindsets on default and circumstance, because by design, if you have to do it by design, you actually have to do the repetitions. Repetitions aren't happening to me. So the thinkings that I have, the mindsets that I have or had when I was growing up as a child through parents, teachers, media, society, whatever, they were given to me and I bought into them and I believed them as they were happening to me. But now I have a choice to make them happen for me. And that means I have to do the work. And the problem and this is where, when you think about evolving yourself and your organization, it is work. You have to work at it. You have to be willing to do the reps. I can't get the muscles and stuff I want without doing the reps. Okay. And it's the same thing. So that whole point of that for our mind, if you understand the mechanics of your brain and how it works, all you have to do is be willing to do the work.
Because the work is hard. Doing the mindset work is hard. I'd rather be sitting on the beach in Bali having a bintang. No worries about that. But you know what's also hard? Going out of business. You know what's also hard? Growing broke and not being able to feed your family. And the really interesting thing about that is, but Lisa, oxymoron, because, mindset and business, they've got nothing to do with each other. They've got everything to do with each other, because your business can only serve you and your people to the degree in which your mind is evolving, to the degree in which you have space and capacity to hold that. So it's hard. And it doesn't feel like a fun time. Neither does doing reps in the gym for the last 15 years. But you know what? I know, because I was 40 kilos overweight 3 times in my life. Being fat's really hard too. This mindset stuff in business is really hard, but so is going out of business. Doing mindset stuff so that you're the better today than ever before version of yourself is hard. But so is getting divorced. So, choose your shit sandwich. And shift your perspective about how this is serving you and how this is happening for you. Got a little bit passionate here. I should get up on my little soapbox and have a bit of a go here. But it's so important. And I'm preaching to myself here. We
all are. It's okay. So I'm conscious of time, and that's so important. Please understand that you've got to do the work. And it's, if people would do work if it wasn't dressed up in overalls and came with a shovel. Work isn't disguised as something fancy at times, right? But it's disguised as, it's blatantly obvious. You have to do the work. All professional athletes at the highest level, they do the reps, they do the shots, they do the swings, they do everything like that. They visualize themselves. Steph Curry, I was watching a thing in India the other day. He does this thing. He caught the ball over his head. No look, and he just shot the ball. Why do you think he can do that and sink in the basket? Because he's seen himself do it so many times. He visualized the ball going in. He doesn't even need to actually, his mind goes, this is where the ball goes, and his body follows. All right. Last piece I want to share with you. We talked about this last week, and I said I would do it again this week, but I actually found a rubber band. I was sharing this with a couple of guys in New Zealand as well about things, and this is the simplest way to describe some stuff. So this rubber band has very little or no energy in it right now. All right. It's just sitting there, right? So when you set your goals that they're so small that there's no energy in them, okay, that's what this is there. Now, you can also set goals that are really thing and stretch. And if I put this, I need this when I'm breaking it, I can stretch and break this elastic band, right? The rubber band. And when I do that, this is when your goals are so big you don't believe it, the deer in the headlights stuff we were talking about last week. I'd stretch it and it snaps, okay? Right? But now, here's how our mind works in terms of using that brain thing again. So if I stretch this here, now working on dominant pictures again, if this this hand here is where what I want my life to look like, and this one is where it looks like now. So if I go like this, and if I keep focusing on where I am now, all the energy that I have in that, like, man, I'll not pay attention here, and it will fly that way, and actually send me backwards. It's what I call slingshot effect. Right? But then if I focus on and repetition go, no, it's like me to be like that. It's there. I see myself being that. I see myself doing that. I see everything like that. All of a sudden, I stop paying attention to this one, and it flies the other way. Right?
Oh, got me in the eye.
Create the stretch, create the energy, and then where you focus with repetition and start believing, the old saying, energy flows where focus or intention goes, like that. Well, that's what it's about. It's that saying, well, hang on, if I have that much energy in it, it just depends on where I choose to focus. And in an organizational sense, leaders out there, when we talk about, imagine an organization where everybody's lifting everybody up, not pushing everybody down. Imagine if everybody's going, hey, no, come on, Dave, you stay focused. We can do this. Because sometimes they're like, oh, no, but, like, no, Dave, come on, we need this. And all of a sudden, all the energy and everything's going to the focus or attention's going this, all the energy will flow that way. And we'll go right past. It's like we create that tension, we'll fly way past where we were. Okay, this is how you can use your mind. This is how your mind works. You have a conscious mind, a subconscious mind, and a creative subconscious mind. Everything's stored on the subconscious. We interpret the world through the conscious mind, and our creative subconscious just goes, do these pictures match? And if they don't, it will give you all the energy to make your pictures match. All we have to do is choose which one we want to be dominant. And by design, if it's the one you see outside, then use that process that got the existing one stored in your subconscious mind to store a new picture, or update the file, or add to it and change it and save it, 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 like you would a Word document. And then expand, push the boundaries of your comfort zone, put your energy in there, and away you go. And then your mind will already know how to, because you don't even have to worry about the how to. This is why, and I'll leave you with this last one. You ever heard the expression, Lisa, with a power and a full enough why, you don't have to worry about how to? You ever had something you wanted just so badly in your life, you just went ahead and made it happen, you didn't have a plan?
Story of my life.
Yeah. But what if we could use that by design instead of by default? What if we could actually create all the things we want in our lives the same damn way? You don't get connected enough, deep enough to the why they want it, and aren't willing to do the work to do it. Because the law of attraction says just sit there and meditate and visualize it and it will happen. But the last 6 letters of attraction exist for a reason. Action.
100%.
Okay.
This is so juicy, Dave. We could do a whole series on this mindset piece.
I know, and we're well over time now anyway. So thank you to all of you who chipped in. James, good to see you in Toronto. I hope you're enjoying there. I think tonight you're going to go see the Jays versus the Yankees, mate. Go Jays. Joe, again, thank you so much for chiming in. We had the people from India as well. I remember, get the name right. I want to. Sarika Singh from India. Thank you so much for joining us. Everyone else as well who's been watching, really appreciate it.
And the replay.
Next week. Yeah, please feel free to watch the replay if you want.
What is it?
We'll have a template that'll look very much similar to the picture that I did up on the whiteboard there. Template so you can actually play and do your own little visualization of, what are my pictures and things like that. If you'd like a copy of this, just put #mindset into the comments, and we'll make sure that we get you a copy of that.
There it is.
Now, next week, we'll both be coming live from Next Strong. We'll both be coming from Queensland. Because I will be in Queensland. Well, you might be. I don't know. Well, you're going to be in Queensland? So. I'm going to be in Queensland.
I'm going to be in Queensland, yes.
Okay, I'm coming live from Queensland. Won't be in the studio here. I might be on Hamilton Island. I have no idea exactly whether it's either Brisbane or Hamilton Island. So it could be a nice tropical view of our next live stream. So until next week, from tropical destinations all around the world, Circle Leadership, #mindset if you want a picture of how your mind works. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And we'll see you all next week at 8 a.m. West Australian time, I think.
So still 10 a.m. Queensland time. I love time zones. Have fun.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you all.